Right now, in a damp ditch or the forgotten back corner of a garden near you, it's throwing up leaves the size of your forearm, coarse, hairy, rough enough to scratch, and drooping clusters of little bell-shaped flowers, purple, pink, dirty cream, hanging over the water like they're trying not to be noticed. Nobody planted it there. It escaped decades ago and never left. For 2,000 years, people called it by a name that tells you everything: Knitbone. They mashed the root into a grey paste, packed it over sprains and breaks, and swore the injury sealed faster. Inside that root is allantoin, a real molecule, not a marketing word, that pushes cells to divide and tissue to rebuild. Your body doesn't make it. This weed is full of it. And on a Friday in July 2001, the Food and Drug Administration wrote a letter that wiped this plant off the American market. I have to tell you something up front that I did not want to admit. They had a point. Keep that in mind, because this is the one episode where I went hunting for a villain and found an agency that was half right, and the half they got wrong is the half that matters to you. Let's be clear about what this is not. This is not a rare plant. It's a garden escapee, spreading across damp ground in most of the United States, Britain and Europe, field margins, riverbanks, behind sheds. It's closer to unkillable than endangered. Snap the taproot and every fragment grows a new plant. And yet you can't buy it as a supplement in America, and most people under 40 have never heard the word. There's no patent story here. Nobody bought this plant and buried it. What happened is stranger: a real toxin, a real regulator, real liver damage, and a 2,000-year-old use swept away as collateral damage. I'll show you the exact date and the precise scientific line the agency blurred. This is the story of Comfrey. Welcome to Landfield's lab. Follow it back, and the first layer is buried in the name itself. Its botanical name is symphytum, from the Greek symphio, to grow together. The Greek physician Dioscorides described it in the 1st century as a remedy for wounds and broken bones. It stayed Europe's standard drug reference for the next 1,500 years. Then follow the folk names down the centuries: knitbone, boneset, bruisewort. Different languages, same claim. Put this on the outside of a body, and the body knits back together. Hold that word, outside, because it's the hinge this entire story turns on. Now the second layer, and this is where the trouble starts. In the 20th century, Comfrey got promoted. Hard. First as a miracle fodder crop, then as a health food. By the 1970s and 80s, Comfrey wasn't a poultice anymore. It was a product. Comfrey tea, Comfrey tablets, Comfrey capsules. People weren't putting it on their skin. They were drinking it daily, for their health. 2,000 years of tradition said to put it on the outside. The 20th century decided to swallow it. And that decision, not the plant, not the FDA, set the disaster in motion. In a moment, I'll show you what it did to people's livers. But first, you need to recognize this thing, because there's a look-alike that has genuinely killed people. Comfrey is big and coarse. It grows knee to waist high in a sprawling clump, with broad, spear-shaped leaves that can reach a foot or more, covered in stiff, bristly hairs that feel like a cat's tongue. The stems are winged and hairy. The flowers hang in curled, drooping clusters, small bells in purple, pink, cream or white, nodding downward like they're hiding. Underground, a thick, black-skinned taproot, white inside, that turns slimy when crushed. And now the warning that matters more than any of that. Before it flowers, Comfrey's leaves look a lot like foxgloves. Foxglove is a heart poison. If you can't tell those two plants apart with total certainty, don't touch this one. That isn't a disclaimer. It's the single most useful sentence in this video. Now the science. Start with the weakest evidence, the mechanism. Allantoin is real, a compound that stimulates cell proliferation. It tells tissue to build. Comfrey root also contains rosmarinic acid, which is anti-inflammatory, and in laboratory studies, Comfrey root extract interferes with NF-kappa B signaling, a master switch for inflammation. So let's go to patients. In 2007, a double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled trial tested Comfrey root ointment on osteoarthritis of the knee. The Comfrey group's pain fell significantly, and that should have convinced me. It didn't, because beating a placebo cream is a low bar. What I wanted to know was whether it could beat an actual drug. Here's the study that ended my skepticism. In 2005, Pradell took 164 patients with ankle sprains. Half got Comfrey root ointment, half got a gel containing diclofenac, a real pharmaceutical anti-inflammatory. Comfrey didn't lose. On pain and swelling it performed at least as well as the diclofenac gel, and on several measures better. Read that again. A ditchweed going toe-to-toe with a pharmaceutical. Because on July 6, 2001, all of it stopped mattering in America. That Friday, the FDA's Center for Food Safety and Applied Nutrition sent a letter to the herbal products industry, it naming common Comfrey, and it did not hedge. Comfrey contains pyrrolizidine alkaloids. Those alkaloids are established liver toxins linked to veno-occlusive disease, where liver veins are strangled shut. The Federal Trade Commission moved in parallel, filing charges against companies selling Comfrey online. Within days, Comfrey as an American supplement was finished. And here's where I expected to find the outrage story. A folk remedy crushed by a faceless agency. That is not what I found, because the FDA was right. Your safety matters more than my narrative. In the 70s, researchers fed Comfrey to rats and produced liver tumors. Case reports showed real people developing disease after drinking Comfrey tea. Some died. Comfrey tea is not a harmless beverage. So the villain isn't the FDA, but look carefully at what they actually said. Every single word of it is about ingestion, swallowing. Your gut absorbs those alkaloids efficiently and delivers them straight to your liver. Now go back to the tradition. Knitbone. Topical. Intact skin is a wall. Researchers measured skin absorption at a fraction of 1%, roughly 0.04 to 0.6%. Same toxin, two different risk profiles. The 20th century invented a new way to use this plant, swallowing it, and the reckoning took the 2,000-year-old topical tradition down with it. That's collateral damage. Nobody even meant to do it. So why hasn't anyone rehabilitated it? Because there's no money in it. You can't patent a ditchweed. In America, after 2001, the word itself went radioactive, and nobody with a marketing budget wanted to touch it. Meanwhile, the plant is still out there, growing free in damp ground across most of the country, perfectly legal to grow and to pick, and almost entirely unrecognized by the people walking straight past it. The traditional preparation is a poultice, root or leaf crushed to a pulp, warmed, laid over the skin above a sprain or a bruise. That's the whole tradition, on the outside. Now the rules. Never swallow it. Not as tea, not as a capsule. Only ever on intact, unbroken skin. Never on a wound, because broken skin bypasses the barrier. Keep courses short. Don't use it if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, and not on children. Not if you have liver disease. Never harvest from roadside verges, and be absolutely certain it isn't foxglove. Talk to your doctor before you use it, especially if you're on medication. I'm not telling you to grow it. I'm telling you what the record actually says. The agency got the poison right and the tradition wrong. If you want the next forgotten plant, we pull out of the vault, subscribe, because some of them weren't buried by villains. Some were buried by accident. See you in the lab.